Namo Narayana, and welcome back to our reading of the Sannyasa Upanishad. Today, which is our third video, but we're actually in part two. Part two is just this long section. I have randomly divided it up. There's going to be today's reading and then one more video. I have the window open right now, so please excuse any sounds from outside. The wind is also blowing. It's a nice day. And I think someone is smoking marijuana outside. I don't mind if you smoke. I don't care, but I don't, and it's a little annoying, a little potent. But we don't have smell-o-vision here, so you don't get that part. But I'm just filling you in on what my day is like. But if you hear things or whatever, yeah. So here we go. I am not surely of this world, consisting of trees, grass, and mountains. How can I, the Supreme Being, be this external phenomenon which is intensely inert? I am not the body which is non-sentient and perishable in a short time. I am not the sound which is non-sentient, coming from void and of the form of void, and which remains for a short period grasped by the inert cavity of the ear. I am not the touch which is non-sentient, but which has life granted to it by the favor of consciousness, and which can be experienced by skin of momentary existence, and in no other way. I am not the taste which is non-sentient, dependent on matter, and of short duration, insignificant, and brought into existence by the fickle tongue, aided by the fickle mind. I am not the form which is non-sentient, non-existent in the sole witness, Brahma, perishable, and which rests on sight, and the object of sight, which have but momentary existence. I am not the smell which is non-sentient, subtle, and of indefinable form, and brought into existence by the perishable nose, which is dead to smell. I am not pure consciousness alone, which is devoid of parts, mindness, and thought, and which is quiescent and beyond the delusions of the five senses. I am not consciousness alone, devoid of a place of worship, and am illuminator, omnipresent, devoid of parts and stain, the light of distinctionless consciousness, all-pervading and one alone. It is only by me, the consciousness, that all things, such as pots and garments, up to the sun, are illumined by self-effulgence, as if by a lamp. It is only by me, with my inwardly shining effulgence, that the various senses are active, just as the mass of sparks shine to the fire which is blazing within. This pure eye of consciousness, which enjoys endless bliss, and which shines even when all others are extinct, is victoriously present in all eyes. Salutation, salutation to myself alone, who am present in all other beings, and consist of consciousness, free from the restriction of an object to be known, and am of the form of the individual self. The various clearly seen powers are really rendered variegated by consciousness, which is free of change, one whole, and free from the limitation of time and parts. Of consciousness which is beyond the three durations of past, present, and future, is devoid of the restriction of perceivability of objects, and which disregards individuality of the soul, there remains the oneness alone of the self and Brahman. Indeed, the same consciousness, being beyond the reach of words, seems to remain as having reached the state of the conclusion of selfishness, that being the state of non-duality, as if it were external non-existence. The same consciousness, slightly encompassed by impurities of desires and non-desires, is unable to rise high, like a female bird bound by a string. People overcome by the delusion caused by the pairs of opposites, which is born of desire and hatred, become similar to worms which are sunk in the cavities of the earth. Salutation to the Atman, to you who are non-different from consciousness. I am now seized of the truth. I am awakened. I have risen above delusion. I am lifted up from doubts. I am what I am. Salutation to you, to your, and to me, the eternal, to you and to me, consisting of consciousness. Salutation to you, the Supreme God, and salutation to me, the Shiva. Though seated, is not seated. Though going, he does not go. Though quiescent, he is engaged in activities. Though performing action, he is not tainted. He is eminently accessible. He is easily known, like a close kinsman. He is the bee in the interior of the lotus, the body of all. I have no desire for the state of enjoyment, nor for abandoning enjoyment. Let come what may, let go what may. When the mind is quelled in itself and has become free of egotism, and when ideation is dissolved in itself, I remain alone and happy. My enemy, duality, remains. In the pure Atman of vibration alone, without ideation, egotism, mind, and desire. Breaking the bonds of intense desires from the cage of my body, I know not where the female bird of non-ego has flown up and gone. He who has no egotism, whose intellect is not tainted, and who is equanimous to all beings, his life shines bright. He who looks at this phenomenal world like an impartial witness with his mind, being cool within, is freed of love and hatred, has his life blessed. He who, understanding correctly, abandons both the undesirables and the desirables and places his mind in its quiescence has his life blessed. When the connecting link between the object and the person who grasps it has vanished, peace comes well into the being. When peace has established itself, it is called liberation. Like parched seeds, there is no more sprouting of worldly birth. The latent desires become pure in the heart of those who are liberated while living. Latent desire of a realized soul is purifying, highly proper, falls within the scope of pure nature, consists of meditation on the Atman, and is eternal. It remains as if in deep sleep. Understanding without the mind is indeed said to be the individual consciousness. As it is of the nature of the quiescent mind, there is not the impurity of comprehension of distinctions. Where the mind is rendered quiescent, there is truth and auspiciousness. It is the true state. It is omniscience, and it is indeed complete satisfaction. When speaking, giving, talking, opening, and closing the eyes, I am purely consciousness, the bliss that comes of a discarded thinking process. Having discarded the impurity of things to be known, rendering the mind thoroughly quiescent, and cutting off the fire of the bond of desire, I am pure consciousness alone. I have set at rest thoughts good and bad, and without worry, rid of ideation of the pleasant and the unpleasant, I am pure consciousness alone. Disregarding the idea of oneself and another, taking no sides in worldly happenings, and clinging to the Atman as an adamant pillar, I am steady. I remain in my consciousness, which is pure and without hopes, freed from desires and non-desires, and devoid of both the undesirable and desirables. And we shall pause there. It seems like a good time to pause, partly because the wind is blowing my pages of the book. No, it is actually a good place to pause.